When I first started my journey of trying to overcome my shopping addiction and my tendency to constantly impulsively buy, and to finally, after 39 years, get control of my spending and figure out where my money is going, I read 6 months of bank statements, and this completely changed my view in terms of how I'm spending my money and my personal finance. It was a major turning point and shift in my life, which led me to now, a little over a year later, overcoming a shopping addiction, paying off $49,000 of debt, and basically saving a lot more money and getting control of where I am spending my money in the first place. So this is part 2 in how I overcame my shopping addiction. I had a shopping addiction for about 2 decades. And throughout those decades, I here and there tried to get control of my shopping by doing no buys. And so I would just stop buying stuff for a very short time because it never lasted. And this failed every single time because, one, I never knew what I was spending in the first place. I never knew by stopping shopping what I would be saving. And I never had a plan of the money that I would be saving by not shopping. I never had a plan on what I needed to do with that money. And I think a lot of people fall into this. I would guess if you're not in the personal finance world and a constant budgeter, if you are just a person living day to day, my guess is that many people actually have no clear idea on how much they are spending on things that are not necessary. So this was a big turning point for me. I was watching Ramit Sethi's YouTube channel where he interviews couples on their spending habits, and if they're over budget or in debt, he basically talks them through it. Then I was reading his book. I read it very quickly, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And it's been over a year since I've read it, but I think in that he tells you to go through your bank account and figure out what you were spending. And I had never done this. I thought I had an idea based on gut feeling. I thought I just kind of like knew what I was spending. I thought I had control of it. I thought I had control over it. I actually had no control over it. I actually had no idea. So I put down his book, and I remember I was sitting on the couch with my boyfriend, and I decided to go through 6 months of bank statements. And I go through every single line item. This took me a while, but it was worth it. I separated between needs, which are fixed costs, groceries, gas, rent, doctors, medical bills, to wants, which was workout classes and clothing and Botox and skincare and hair care and dining out and vacation, all of it. Anything that was not necessary, I split it into 2 categories. So I had 2 large numbers of what I was spending for the last 6 months on wants and needs, but then I broke it down to what I was spending month over month. And what I realized is that every month, my consistent cost for wants, things that I don't need, was way higher than my fixed cost. I was spending, I don't even remember what the numbers are now, but let's just say my fixed costs were about $2,200. I was spending about $4,000 on things that I did not need or could go without. And I remember then getting those 2 numbers and adding it together, and then figuring out what my income was every month and realizing that I was overspending by like $1,000 every month. And this is why I was in the red every single month. And this is why I was always taking from my savings account and just playing this game of like trying to avoid an overdraft. So taking a little money from here and putting it into this checking account. And when I looked at what I was spending on wants, and then I looked at what I was overspending, I was spending more than I was making every month. I just sat there like in awe. I'm getting chills now because this was such a shocking moment in my life that I just stared at it in awe. Like I couldn't move. And my boyfriend's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't know." I don't know. And that was when I decided I needed a change. I needed a change because, one, I couldn't fix what I was not willing to look at. Up until this point, I had a hard time even looking at my bank account on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis. I had a hard time. I had this visceral gut feeling, bad gut feeling, that prevented me from even opening up my bank account because I did not want to see what was coming out. I did not want to see how much money I had spent. And so I realized that, you cannot fix what you do not track and you do not manage. This took me, even seeing all of this, I went through and took out a lot of items that I decided I did not want to pay for. And I had to go through about 4 rounds of this. I took out a few for 1 month, and then the next month I was like, I can do without this. And this was a slow progress because it was such a shock to the system, and all of these purchases and things that I thought I needed in life and I didn't know how to live without. And they were basically my crutch on living because I had low confidence. And so I used all of these beauty treatments and services and clothes to kind of hide that and mask that I didn't know how to live without it. So it took a little while. But right after this, when I decided that's when I sat down and made my first video that I am broke and I just decided I need to change. So this is to say, this is step 2. In step 1, we talked about changing your environment, changing who you surround yourself with, who you learn from, all of it. This is step 2. This is going to take a little while, but this can be, if you have not done this, this is one of the most effective things, and I think one of the most shocking things you will find if you are somebody who has a tendency to impulsively buy, or if you believe or know that you have a shopping addiction, to sit down and go through 6 to 12 months of previous bank statements, credit card statements, if you use Buy Now, Pay Later or Klarna, anything that you purchase on, any debt, to go through it and do 2 items of your fixed costs and then your wants budget, and to break it down and figure out what you are spending both on a quarter basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. What are you overspending, and what are the things that you could have saved money on or could have avoided, and what are the things that you can take out of your budget? So you've gone through bank statements, credit card statements, and you now have, and this can take you a few days up to a week, so give yourself time. Do not rush this. This is super important. So you have this. The next thing I suggest is taking these numbers and putting them into ChatGPT. If you created a money coach, I made a video on how to create an AI financial money coach, and the guide is always linked below on how to do that. If you have already done that, you can use this coach to guide you through this. It will be really effective. And this is one of the things that I've done many times, is that I would put all of the excess stuff that I had purchased into ChatGPT and just say, tell me how many hours, and you also have to give it your income and your salary or your hourly pay. How many hours did I have to work to afford these items, whatever it is? How many hours did I have to work to afford these services, these products, these items? And then what I like to do, just to basically give myself a really thorough understanding of where I put my money, most of it was wasteful, and what I could have done with it, just to learn the lesson even further, so I can try to learn from my mistakes and make different ones in the future. And so then I would take all the money that I wastefully spent on things that I did not need, whether it is dining out, whether it is, going away or hotels, it doesn't matter. Anything that you do not actually need to function on a daily basis, take that item, take that amount, take that dollar amount, and I would put it into ChatGPT and just say, if I put this into a high yield savings account and assume an interest rate of 4%, how much would this grow in 5 or 10 years? And then do the same thing with, if I put this into an investment account and assume a 7 to 8% growth rate, how much would it grow in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And it just gives you an idea of how your money can work for you and how we are wasting this stuff. Go through in specific detail what you are overspending on. And again, I have the How to Overcome a Shopping Addiction guide link below. It will have all of these steps written out. These are the steps that I followed. And I can't say it will absolutely 100% work for you, but this worked for me. And I had a shopping addiction for 20 years. And I thought I would never come out of it. forever. I thought I was going to be stuck in this forever. It was every single time I tried to not buy something, there was always something I needed to buy, which I didn't really need. And the mental and emotional shift that I've gone through in the last year as a result of implementing these steps has been fundamental, has been foundational in the way that I look at things and services and the way that I spend my money and use my money now. I cannot tell you how different of a person I am, and I contribute it to all of these steps that we will be going through. So the next video will be step 3. I encourage you to just take a look at it. You don't have to do all of them. I suggest that you do. You do not have to. But if you really tried to get control of your spending for a long time and nothing has worked, just try it. You know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but there's no harm in trying. So if you have any questions, leave them below. I'm happy to answer anything. Thanks so much. See you next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.